I have nowhere left to go.
Then stay with me.
The rain had nearly washed away every footprint on the old wooden bridge when I saw her standing there, hugging a small backpack to her chest as though it held the last pieces of her life. Her eyes weren't filled with tears anymore, they were beyond tears. When she finally looked at me, her voice barely rose above the sound of the falling rain. I have nowhere left to go. Without thinking, I answered the only truth my heart knew. Then stay with me. Neither of us realized that those 4 words would rewrite 2 broken lives forever. Before we continue this unforgettable journey, if you love heartfelt romance stories filled with second chances, emotional healing, and unforgettable endings, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Dream Porch Tales. And don't forget to tell us in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to welcome you to our growing family. My name is Rowan Mercer, and I had lived alone for nearly 6 years in the quiet town of Maple Hollow, where everyone knew everyone else's story, or at least thought they did. After losing my wife to illness, I buried myself in restoring antique furniture inside a little workshop my grandfather had built decades earlier. The work kept my hands busy, but nothing could quiet the loneliness that echoed through my farmhouse every evening. The woman on that bridge introduced herself as Eliana Brooks. She wasn't asking for charity, only one safe place to breathe for a night. She had left behind a relationship that had slowly erased her confidence, until she no longer recognized the woman staring back in the mirror. With no family willing to take her in and very little money, she had simply started walking until the road ended at Maple Hollow. The guest room had gathered more dust than visitors over the years. That first evening, Eliana thanked me 3 different times before quietly closing the bedroom door. The house, silent for so long, suddenly felt different. Not louder, warmer. Days turned into weeks. She insisted on helping around the property, planting flowers that somehow convinced the old porch to smile again. She baked cinnamon bread that drifted through every room, replacing memories of emptiness with the scent of hope. Even my elderly golden retriever, Jasper, who rarely left my side, began waiting outside her door every morning. Small town life has a way of noticing everything. Some people whispered that I was making a mistake. Others quietly admired that someone had finally brought laughter back into the old Mercer farmhouse. But neither of us cared much about opinions. We were too busy learning how to trust again. One Saturday, the town hosted its annual harvest festival. Eliana hesitated before accepting my invitation, afraid people would judge her past. Instead, something unexpected happened. The bakery owner hugged her. The librarian offered her a part-time job. Children asked her to help paint pumpkins. It was the first time in years I saw genuine happiness light up her face without fear hiding behind it. Yet healing is never a straight road. Late one evening, I found Eliana sitting alone on the porch steps, staring into the darkness. She admitted she was terrified that happiness never lasted, that eventually everyone she loved either left or stopped choosing her. I understood that fear more than she knew. Losing someone teaches you to expect every beautiful moment to disappear. I didn't promise her forever that night. Instead, I promised tomorrow. Then the day after that. Sometimes broken hearts don't need impossible promises. They only need someone who keeps showing up. Winter arrived quietly, covering Maple Hollow in soft white snow. We decorated the farmhouse together with old ornaments my wife had once loved. I worried it would hurt too much, but Eliana treated every memory with kindness instead of jealousy. She never tried to replace my past. She simply helped me believe I could still have a future. Then came the letter. She had been offered a design position nearly 1,000 miles away in a large city. It was everything she once dreamed about before life had fallen apart. I smiled when she read it aloud, but inside I felt the familiar ache of preparing to lose someone again. For 3 days, she barely spoke about the decision. On the 4th morning, I found the acceptance letter still sitting unsigned on the kitchen table. She looked at me with the same eyes I had first seen beneath the rain on that bridge. "I spent years searching for a place to belong," she whispered. "I thought it would be somewhere far away. Then I realized it was never a place. It was a person." Those words broke every wall I had spent years building around my heart. The following spring, the abandoned flower shop on Main Street reopened with fresh white paint and bright blue shutters. Ileana transformed it into a cozy floral and gift shop, while I handcrafted wooden shelves and furniture for every corner. Together, we created something neither of us could have built alone. People often asked how we met. We usually smiled at each other before answering with different versions of the same truth. Sometimes life brings two strangers together only after everything else has fallen apart. On a warm summer evening exactly 1 year after that rainy day, I walked Ileana back to the old wooden bridge. The river flowed peacefully beneath us as the sun set, painted the sky with gentle shades of pink and gold. This time, she wasn't carrying a backpack full of uncertainty. She was wearing the smile of someone who had finally come home. I took a small velvet box from my pocket, my hands trembling more than I cared to admit. Before I could say a word, she laughed through happy tears because somehow she already knew. She nodded before I even asked. And for the first time in many years, neither of us was afraid of tomorrow. Before this story comes to an end, we'd love to hear from you. If you believe true love can appear when least expected, comment. Love still finds a way. Stories like this remind us that sometimes the greatest miracle isn't finding the perfect person. It's finding someone willing to stay when life has given every reason to leave. Home isn't always the place you were born. Sometimes it's the heart that quietly opens its door and says, "Then stay with me." If this story touched your heart, please support Dream Porch Tales by liking this video, sharing it with someone special, and subscribing for more emotional romance stories that remind us love, hope, and second chances are always worth believing in. Thank you for being part of our family. And until next time, never stop believing that love still finds a way.